Hi, I'm Tony. This is SV Tapatya. We're building this cruising sailboat that you see behind me. And as you may well be aware, for one reason or another, plus the temperatures, things were a little bit slow this week. And one of our patrons, Stu, asked me if I could do a video about what's left to do to get the boat ready to launch. And I think, what with one thing and another, this is probably the ideal opportunity for exactly that. So the goal this week is just to do hopefully a fairly short video, talking through the last few bits that we've got to get done to get her ready to launch. And perhaps, since we're here on the outside, a beautiful sunny day but very frosty, we're here on the outside, we'll start off wandering around the outside and just talking about one or two bits, okay? Just before we do that, something that you can do to help us get out to a wider audience, and it won't cost you a penny. Just click that old subscribe button down below. Thank you. So we start here at the bow end, but in fact I'm just looking at where the keel joins the hull, and you remember I glassed that joint, but it's still not completely fair, so I want to put have another sand, a bit of filler around there, and then this needs the bottom, the keel itself is fully epoxy sealer coated, but the bottom isn't, so that joint in the bottom still needs several coats of epoxy sealer on it. And then obviously the anti-foul has got to come on there, which is generally pretty good. Where we've got the metal, the actual ballast keel, which is up here and running aft from there, I've just bought some epoxy tar sealer, which I'm going to coat just the metal part of the keel with that, overlapping a bit of course with the International VC tar. Get that on there just to protect that metal section that bit more, and then there'll be a vinyl primer going on there, and then the anti-foul over the entire underwater line. I'm not sure whether I'm going to put a boot stripe around. Karen and I talked about it, we did decide to, so I may well still put a boot stripe. It's not a final decision, but I may well do. She'll look nicer for it, that's for sure. But of course I'm not 100% sure that the waterline's in the right place at the moment, so I'd really like to launch her, and I should probably haul out again next winter. So maybe we'll wait for next winter for that boot stripe. Just do it with a plain, anti-foul up to here. And then after a season of sailing, we'll know exactly where the waterline really is, which is loaded down cruising rig, cruising loading, and then have the chance to change the waterline and then do the boot stripe. I think that makes the most sense. Well, it's only a very minor thing, but the anodes, I've got anodes to fit both sides, so I need to just clean this off. So we've got an electrical connection to the zinc anodes either side, nice big anodes coming onto those two screw holes. While I'm here, under here I've got the depth sounder transducer, which will be coming through somewhere around here. That's still to fit, and that hooks up to the plotter, so it's all NMEA 2000. It's a Garmin transducer. I think it does water temperature as well. I've no idea why anybody wants to know water temperature. It's either warm or cold, isn't it? But depth is also obviously useful, and that hooks up to the plotter, as I say, so that's still to come. So here up at the aft end, looking at the sail drive, still need some more anti-fouling on it. But once the bottom is epoxy sealed, I've got this rubber boot that goes around the sail drive that we glue on with Sikaflex, and then obviously the propeller and whatever anode propeller end nut to go on there. I've got them all, it's just quick work really. I've got all of those parts just waiting to go. Easy enough. Looking at the rudder, this end plate is only temporarily fitted at the moment. This weekend the temperature is supposed to be warm enough that I can actually get that glued on, so that's I hope to achieve. And then obviously it needs epoxy sealing, the whole rudder, painting, and anti-foul. Other than that, she's basically ready. There's a question whether, since I've done this and it's slowed me down, whether I'll get the wind vane made this year, and I may not. The wind vane may wait for next winter now. and it's a trim tab that will come down the back end, the aft end of the rudder there. But I say that may be waiting for next winter now. My priority is to launch this springtime, or May, early June perhaps. May, hopefully. That's priority. So if I haven't got a wind vane, it's not a disaster for this summer's sailing. I'll have a tiller pilot, which I do for Baltic, a summer in the Baltic. Wind vane can be built next winter. So here by the masts that have got a lovely bit of frost on them at the moment, but they're all finished. Two things still to make, and that is the mast wedges where they pass through the partner fittings. So it's just very thin wedges, not a big deal. And then all of the running rigging. So the mast head fittings are made. One for the main mast still needs polishing, and it needs the top light fitting on it. I've got all the parts for that again. The wiring needs to go up the main mast for that, and I say the running rigging. I've got all the blocks for the foremast, but not for the main, so I've still got the blocks to buy. I've got to measure up and do some calculations and get the running rigging, and I'll buy that very soon. I think I've got some, but not all of it by any means. So that will be done, and the mast will be put in obviously when we get up to the marina, and then I'll be doing the running rigging on the mast before they go in, and the actual rigging the sails when the masts are up, obviously. I'm at the moment in the process of making one yard. I'm making the main mast yard at the moment. In fact, that's not strictly true. I'm actually making both of them at the moment. They're in progress. So the yards are being made. The sails are completely finished, ready to go. I've got some rigging on the deck to do of the cleats that various things fix off to, blocks and fairleys and guides for the rigging still to come. I've got most of that stuff. It's ready to go and not a big deal. So on the aft deck, the tiller, I'm in the process of varnishing it. Got about 7 coats on so far. I'm aiming for 10 coats on the tiller. So that's in process. It's all finished, ready to fit. Easy enough. There's an arch that I spoke about last week or the week before. There's an arch that comes over here, comes about here somewhere, that the sheet from the mainsail goes back to, and it forms the push pit, so a rail on the aft end of the boat. So it wants to come up to a reasonable height, so it's a safety rail as well. So that's completely still to make. I've got the stainless for it, but that's as far as I've got with that process. And then obviously some kind of clip-on wire rails that join that to these posts, the bimini post uprights. That's what we've got to do there. It's not much. I need a catch on this lazarette hatch because at the moment it just sits there in position, so that's not fixed yet. It needs some kind of screw down to keep it down. And the same with the main hatch turtle that's behind us here. That is also only sitting in position. It needs fixing down. So that's a few little bits here. The tiller pilot will come somewhere around this area, and that I need fittings for that, and the wiring. I've got the wiring for the tiller pilot in as far as the engine room, but it needs to run through to here. And at the same time, of course, the aft nav light, same situation, wiring in as far as the engine room, but needs completing through. I've got the aft nav light, and it will fit on that arch that's coming over here as well. So there's a bit of thought there. I need to get some kind of radar reflector up, and I need to think about how to do that, because with the junk you haven't got any stays to fix it to. I intend to fix it somehow to the bimini, I think. But there will be a radar reflector, that is for sure. We've got active AIS, but an AIS transmitter and receiver, but I want a radar reflector, as you would as well. So that'll be up there somewhere. On the bimini top, I have the solar panels. I've got the wiring installed in the boat, but the solar panels aren't fitted yet because I'm going to have to lower the bimini down for transport. So when it's back up, it's to its proper height, I'll then fit the solar panels and wire through from here down to in the heads actually, where it's going to connect into the inboard wiring. So that's to do, but it's not much, you know. There's a list. One thing I've just noticed in the cockpit is that we need the stop pull for the engine is not installed yet, and I need to install that. I've been puzzling where the best place for it is, but I've made my mind up now where it's going. So the stop pull to stop the engines going in. Little things really. We'll have a quick look down below. There's one or two bits there, but not much. And here we are down below. I say not much to do here. Foremast coming through there, and it has the VHF antenna and AIS transmitting antenna. There's the same antenna on there. So I've got the VHF cable, or that combined cable, to run through from the splitter, which is on the starboard side, just forward of that hand, through to there, connect that up. Everything else is done. The boat at the moment is completely empty. I haven't put any stores in it. I've tried to, my goal is to keep it as light as possible for transport purposes. So obviously when we get her up and in the marina, then it'll be possible to load all of the lockers, bring all my gear up and get it in. So we're ready to go. So that's still to do. But I'll say, in terms of boat build, that VHF antenna connection and the top light from the main mast wiring connection also to go in. Otherwise, I believe in here, I'm looking around just in case, I think we're all done. I've still got to program the numbers into the VHF radio and into the AIS. I've got all the numbers. I've registered the ship station, so all the numbers are available. Just got to come in with a laptop and program them in. And that's about it. As I told you already from outside, under here, depth sounder transducers going in, and that's got to run back, the wire's got to run back to the NMEA 2000 bus, which is back in the engine room. Straightforward. One or two little bits in the heads. Let me open the door and we'll have a look in there. So I'm here in the heads. I'll show you something that's not finished. The sink neither fixed in nor hooked up to the through hole, and these covered doors need catches on. I've got one on there, a safety catch, but that one there, locker doors, they need catches. As you can see, this wiring channel needs a bit of trim to finish it off, and I will do the same in here. It's the same situation, a bit less necessary, but nonetheless I'd like to have that bit of trim to cover that wiring up. So little jobs really, little jobs. It's mainly done in here, as I say, that and the drain through to the sea cock there, but everything else is done. Good. Back in the saloon here. One of the bigger things, it's not a big thing, but it's going to take a while, is that I'm not happy with the finish on the cabin sole boards, in that it's a bit slippery. So I bought some non-slip or less slippy varnish that is supposed, and we hope, to take over this varnish. So I'm going to take them all out, give them a very quick sand and recoat them with this less slippy varnish. And then also I want to put some restraining parts across between the boards here on the floor, so that they're really fixed in position. And then I'll have some clips so that the boards can be clipped down for ocean sailing, just in case, you know. Most of the boards are screwed down, but the ones down the middle are lift up, and they need clips underneath them to be able to restrain them if need be. So that's still to come. Restraining clips possibly not necessary this year, but the non-slip varnish certainly necessary. And looking around down below, that is about it. There's one important thing, and that is manual bilge pump. I've got this beautiful double action manual bilge pump that needs installing. The electric bilge pump's in, working, all good, but that manual bilge pump still needs fitting. And that, I believe, is everything. I bet I've forgotten something. It's nearly everything. Good, cut. as I say, a short one this week. Gonna leave it there. I've got the stitches coming out next Monday, and then an appointment with a specialist to have a look. Hopefully they'll get, at the moment this is a plaster cast, so hopefully that will be gone. I'll have a bit more flexibility. It's very frustrating in truth, but I understand the sense of taking it slowly, that tendons take a long time to heal. You know, I'm not trying to rush things, but nonetheless it's very limiting. There we go. Thanks for watching. We'll be back next week, hopefully with a bit of boat building. That's hard to say. See you then. Bye.